Well, it's the old man again, and I just can't stop having fun with these bikes. Wow, incredible. But this one I ended up straightening out or trading out the tube, and that freed this up. Well, we've had some nice weather days, so I got outside, ran on the outdoor track, and I've worked with this on the hard indoor track. With the suspension and trying to keep the front end down, understanding, as much as I can, and relaying that. So outdoor, I tried this, and we've had frost, nice in the ground, so the ground is super loamy, and I didn't do anything to it. So I took it out, and it's digging an inch and a half deep. It's just amazing ruts that this was able to dig. Okay, so I stopped that, packed the track down. So I just did a semi, not like a super hard pack. So we still have motocross, because the name is Promoto MX. So that's motocross. And of course I put knobbies on because it's motocross. I mean, motocross is a roost. If you don't throw a roost, it's not motocross. They made a supermoto thing, and I caught a couple of races of that. And I know McGrath tried. He was in at least one, I know, that I saw, where they ran on, they kind of weirded out the motocross bike and did some asphalt and wood and it was a mixed up terrain type thing, not like these endurance races. But anyway, motocross. So knobby, but what I found was I wanted to try, because this bike over here is essentially stock. But I tell you, right off the get-go, the loose material, the motocross material, bound up, because originally we had an aluminum on this, and it bound up, so the bike doesn't turn. It's still bound up. I didn't do anything with it. I took it off. Actually, I traded it for the stock one. It bound up to, there's just too much loose material flying around. So back to over here, stripping all that off the front again, pulling as much weight as I can. I'll tell you why, is to be able to maintain a lighter front end, to keep the front up, because now we're on a motocross surface and it is a completely different world. So I actually just took this bike, and it has the stock rear spring, the softened forks the same way, so I'm running 30 weight in the fork, and I did I pulled it apart and checked them. So I did just a real quick thing I'll put in here on how to bleed them out, because a couple people asked me about, is there a trick or something. Not really. But it has a stock spring, or the heavier spring, the one that they come with. I'm taking all the weight off, so like the fake thing here, I'm just trying to keep the bike as light as possible. So there's no aluminum added anywhere on this. It's just like when you get a new one. It's got 40 weight in it. I really like how and I tried lighter and a little bit heavier, so I ended up 40 weight on the back, and I probably took the back shock out 10 times, which takes a little bit of effort. So I'm stiffer on the rear end. I'm just as soft on the front. Took the punch up to 5. Again, to keep the front end lighter, so you can pull through the moto, the motocross surface that we have out here. And I'm going to say that, so I softened it because I still want a softer rear end. It helps with the unwanted wheelie, and if you go too soft, you're going to get unwanted wheelie. So there's like I'm finding a sweet spot in the suspension. But the spring is just barely more than, well, here, it's probably about there. It's a little more, because this is a stock one too. It's a little more than that, just touching the adjustment on it. So I've softened it that way to get a little more, and then the rebound seems to be a little slower than the compression on them. That's kind of what I want. I'm thinking about a valved piston some way, but I tried a different piston. What you can't slow it down. So that double thick piston is important on the back shock here. So I did some video of that. That's where the bike is, and I negated the front brake again because it was just tragic. When these bind up, it's a tragedy. They just don't steer right. You can't get in and out of the corners right with this locked up. Plays a game with it. That's it. Other than, yeah, I've figured it out. I've got 2 bikes now, black and orange, for the more arena cross type indoor track, and then you get outdoors with a more open motocross type, and then I have yet another track to look at as far as what would I do to my setup here to make it, I think, more controllable, more fun, because man, it's a hoot. I couldn't stop. somebody wanted to know if there was a trick to bleeding these. Not really. Put some oil in within about a 1/4 inch, roughly. A lot of it will come out. I always overfill it. We're talking just a couple of drops. A couple of drops makes a difference. Okay, so about a 1/4 inch. You want to move your plunger a little. Make sure you get, just take your time. It actually takes a while to get the oil out of them. You got to be patient. Get that little bit of air out from under that. This one was feeling weird, so I'm going to do it. Had a bit of a weird feeling at the bottom. And I'm setting this up for motocross track, outdoor. Okay, so we got the air out. We're going to bring this guy down, not totally tight. Get yourself a rag. Grab the bottom with a wrench. Okay, if you can see that. So I'm compressing that. And you do have to have enough, it should let oil out, so I didn't. So we're going to put a couple drops more in it. So the air took that long to get out from underneath the, and they're so tiny that, so we get the cap started again. I want to get it down and still be able to see the gasket on it, but you don't want to push the gasket out with pressure. So I can see it dripping over on this side. It's coming out. Just keep coming down. That's why I put the wrench on it too. These turn hard. Just hold it down there and give it a second. Well, 10 seconds. You just hold it in place. If you let it up, you might have to put a little more oil in it. So you got to hold that right in place. Now, finger tighten it. Make sure that gasket's going down in that. I might back it up a couple times. Make sure it's seating on that good. And then get your other wrench. And finish locking that down. And it's important, just don't let it go. You got to keep that compressed the whole time so it doesn't pick up any kind of air. And it's good, it's not going to leak. I'm going to snug it, holding the thing in place here like this. You want to keep it nice and square. And I don't know if they need to be as tight as they come either. That's like the Loctite. It's an ongoing problem with excess Loctite. You just have to know it and heat your stuff up, and then this should feel good at the bottom. Because it had there was a little air in it. Overuse. There was a lot of batteries on it too, so that feels better.